Hey, welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited today to spend some time with Maxine and Marti Gellens. I have been blessed to be their coach, to be their friend for going on, call it 21 years. So 21 years of Monday at 11:30. I have so much respect and admiration for these two. They are a legendary luxury mother and daughter team selling in coastal San Diego, La Jolla, Del Mar, the Ranch, etc. And they've been doing it for decades. And when you think about decades and being legendary and remaining relevant, right? Being current, being modern, it is so impressive to me. So to have them here, think about it. They've navigated, call it multiple recessions, a housing crisis, now a pandemic, social injustices, and yet they continue to persevere, innovate, and move forward powerfully. So it is just my honor and pleasure to finally have you on the podcast. So let's go one at a time. What's up, Maxine? How are you?
I'm great, even though it's been decades. Decades, like 4+ decades.
Yeah. Think about that. Four plus decades. I was actually sitting here with Tristan, one of my producers here. And we're talking about the fact that, between the two of you, I mean, Marti, are you 30 years in the business, 25 years in the business? Give us some optics here.
35 years in the business. 1985, I started right out of UCLA.
Right. So just, think about it for the listener listening right now. These two have been legendary in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010 plus, and now here we are in 2020, and they continue to be dominant. So Marti, give us a quick, Maxine was just giving a quick, sort of, hey, hello. Marti, how are you? What's going on? I know you're crazy busy. We're going to cover a lot of ground today, but just kind of say hello to the podcast nation and tell them really quick, who's Marti Gellens?
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm Marti Gellens, Marti Gellens Stubbs. I have a hubby, 2 kids, and love to work a very balanced life, which is why we have Tom Ferry as our coach. Yeah. Back in the day when we started and there wasn't technology, we worked, out of the house 7/24, meeting with clients whenever, wherever, weekends, nights, and it was a very, very crazy life. It still is, and we still work 7/24, but we have had you to help us balance our life and work our business like a business. Yeah. And we've also used technology to our advantage and are able, of course, like everybody out there, able to do so much more virtually, even before the pandemic. And that allows us to have a life as well, which has always been important to me. From the moment I became a mom, I knew that I didn't want to work 7/24. So right. I haven't. I've been able to really have a balanced life and raise 2 boys that are now 27 and 23, being a real estate agent the entire time.
Pretty remarkable. And considering those two both, now play professional baseball and you guys travel to a lot of games, and we know it's a little wonkier, today as we film and record this, but nonetheless, the two of you, for as long as we've known each other, you've been going to the games. You really do live that quote unquote, if there was a balanced life in this business, you two really live it. So we're going to get into that, but I want to flip back over to your mom. So Maxine, how long have you been selling homes now?
Going on 45 years.
Okay. So going on 45 years. So for the person listening right now, I want you just to think about all of the change that Maxine has seen in the industry in 45 years, right? From, just think of the adjustments to lock boxes to, from the, hey, here's the MLS and you handed somebody a book to today, Zillow and everything else that we have available. Maxine, what do you still love about this business? Before we jump into all this other stuff that I want to cover, what do you still love about this business?
Well, after being in this pandemic, I love being with all these people that I work with. That's number one. I can tell you that for sure. Yeah. And I think I still get the excitement of the deal, especially of the big deal. It's just exciting and it's fun. And I love that the clients still get me excited when they're happy and when they're content and when they're, not disturbed about something. I just love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So today, ladies, I wrote down 10 to 15 words, depending upon how you want to look at it, of things that I just want to explore with you. I just want to get your perspective on. And if you're listening right now, whether you're watching or listening, this is going to resonate with new agents, with startups, with veterans, with team leaders, with, people that have been in the industry for a long time, short time, and everything in between. So no order of importance, but I want to get both of your perspectives starting first and foremost. You have a legendary family business, right? Most family businesses are pretty chaotic. And you two really keep it together. So my first question for you both, and I'm gonna go Marti first. Marti, how do you make a business partnership with your mom or your spouse or just a family member? How do you make it work?
Well, for us, in the early days, I think the big reason, in my opinion, why ours really worked is that I had a business myself beforehand for 9 years. And I think that helped our relationship when we became partners, that it wasn't mom and daughter who was just learning the business as she kind of went through it. Yeah. I already had learned the business with my mom as my mentor, of course. I learned so much from her not being partners because we talked about it a lot. But once we became partners, it was a little more of an even deal. And I think that helped, both of us. I say, though, when we became partners, I checked my ego at the door because my mom was a rock star from day one. And by the time I had been in 9 years, she had already been in almost 20 years. Yeah. And a legend, for 20 years. And so I said, well, what's more important to me is being a mom and a wife and having that time with my family. And so we had to set parameters around our business and how it was going to run and why I was coming to work with her and why she wanted me to work with her and why, vice versa. So you've really got to set parameters. And thankfully for us, we're the yin and the yang. We're very much alike, but we're also very different in some of our personality traits, where I'm much more like even keeled and my mom's like a roller coaster. But our business acumen and the way we run our business and the way we think about things is identical.
Yeah. So Maxine, when you hear that, I'm just going to flip the question right back to you. First of all, what do you think when your daughter says all that? And then how do you make a family business work?
Well, I'll start with how we make a family business work. I think really going back the 30 years, almost 30 years, right, Mark?
Yeah, 20. Well, Garrett's 27, so 26 years.
26 years together. I don't know how few times we've talked about business when we're in a family situation. I mean, when we're on a vacation, when we're together for dinner, we just talk about family and we just deal with the family. We don't talk about business deals or what's going on. And I know that's a mistake a lot of people make when they're partners, even when they're not married, not mother-daughter. If they're married, they bring it home. And we don't do that. And I think that's been a big help. And we get away from it too that way because it doesn't happen very often that you get away from your business.
Yeah. We're going to talk about work-life balance, which, Marti was talking about. And Maxine, it really, like, even though I had all these things that I want to discuss, towards the back, there's one, but I want you to speak to it now. So I'm going to switch gears and say to you, you two are both so mentally tough. Yes, Marti, to your point, you're very steady Eddie, even keel, and your mom has that ferocious, crazy spirit about her. But that's the beauty of your partnership, right? If you were both the same, one of you isn't necessary. Both of you share a trait that I respect and admire. And I would call it just mental toughness, right? The ability to deal with a lot of crap, a lot of issues, and stay even. Maxine, how do you do that? Like, for the person listening right now who is that emotional yo-yo, right? Who everything takes them, out of their guardrails. What do you say to that person to help them get mentally tough?
Well, first of all, I really have to say, I think you're born a certain way. I really do. And that's unfortunate. I can't tell people how you're born that way and that's what you are. But I know as a child, when something bothered me, I let it go like the next day. In fact, would someone say, what were you upset about yesterday? If I was 7 or 10 or 15 years old, I didn't remember what I was upset about. So I think that's part of my personality. So starting with that, and then I think the more you're given, the more you can take. And so 40 plus years in the business, I've been through a lot. We've been through the good, the bad, as you say, and when you say the 2010, things were good. Things were good in 2010. We had to go through that. I think that was the hardest part of real estate and life, was going through the 2009 through 12 situation. And that to me proved that we can go through anything if we can get through that. And you just have to look to tomorrow instead of yesterday when you're trying to solve a problem. What did I do to solve this problem yesterday? I have to do that tomorrow. And I think that's one of the things I can tell you can do, is look forward instead of back. And also, Marti and I, when we have issues, we work them out between, I don't mean issues between us. We don't have that.
With a
when
client.
we have issues with a client or with a property, we try to work out what is best to handle that situation. So if you don't have a partner, have somebody that you can mentor with and you can talk with to get that problem resolved, because it doesn't go away unless you resolve it. It doesn't just disappear. Yeah. And I mean, right now I've got 3 problems on my desk that came this morning, and I will deal with them this afternoon to get them resolved, or try to resolve them.
Okay, but that also brings up another thing, and you know, Marti, I'm going to jump to you in a second here, but I want your mom to finish this. One of the things that, again, that I respect about you two, having worked with you for 2 decades, is everybody deals with problems. But I noticed the two of you've learned, and I want to know how you did it, that not everything has to be addressed in this instant. Oh my God, this second, drop everything, I know my kids are, in the middle of a high school play, but I'm leaving now because of a deal. Oh my God. I just don't see you two doing that. Is that age, wisdom? Is it, you don't give a flying, what? How do you do that?
Oh, well, I think I was born with that. I think my mom has acquired that.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she does want everything now. And when something comes up, it's like, we got to deal with it right now. So I would say that is her personality for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she has learned to sort of put that a little at bay to have a life. I mean, honestly, my mom was very happy to work 7 days a week and 24 hours a day and put that, I don't want to say first, but out of necessity many times first, but also just at the, wanting to take care of the client, wanting to take care of the business, not letting anything, go by the wayside. Of course, she's much more got to deal with it this instant, but she's become much better at it with, other things in her life that are important too, to be able to, put it aside a bit. That said, I mean, our business is, paramount, and we do deal with things, immediately. I think there's a lot of agents, I don't know how they do this, because we don't, they're unavailable for a while, or they don't deal with something, or you call and they don't get back to you. That's not us. I mean, if you don't hear from us within a few, if you don't hear with us within a few hours, that's a thing. But we can put something aside for a few hours to do something else, whether it's another business thing or a family thing or what have you. We've learned to compartmentalize and have a life. It's very important. Very important.
Yeah. And I want to be clear for the listener, we're not talking about not having exceptional customer service and a great experience. We're talking about when you do the kind of volume and transactions that these two do, there is a problem or a fire every day. And if you're constantly just putting out fires, then you're not moving your business forward. Is that a fair assessment, ladies?
Absolutely.
Well, yesterday, I told my team, and I put my phone on silent. I went to the Padre game in the middle of the day, and that was 3 hours. And that's what I did. And anything that was urgent is not as urgent as 3 hours worth. You can deal with it after, and that's what you do. And someone called me a half hour before this podcast and said, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I said, I will do it after the podcast around 11:30 or 12. And I mean, as Marti said, I used to drop everything to handle a problem, and that would create another problem. So I learned that sometimes your problems are not as great as you think they are.
Yeah. And there is a balance, I think, for everybody listening. I was talking to Josh Rubin, who you both know, this morning on a coaching session. And I said, we're talking about sort of the scenario of the New York City marketplace right now. And he said, Tom, my answer to everything in New York City right now is Bruce Lee's most famous quote, be like water. He said, you just have to be fluid with people right now. Like you can't be rigid. You can't be stiff. You got to be more fluid. And I think, you two balance that to me very effectively. But I'm going to switch gears. You ready? Because I've only gotten through 2 of my 10. Talk to me about staying relevant, staying fresh for the ever-changing psychology of buyers and sellers throughout decades. How do you remain relevant to buyers and sellers at this level?
We are always willing to learn every day. We are consistently looking for what is relevant, what is the best thing for our clients, what can we do to elevate our properties out there, especially, my gosh, through this pandemic. I mean, right. The water faucet completely turned off. Yeah. And we were sitting there going, oh my goodness, we have a team, which, they're amazing. And I was going to interject about them too. They allow us to also have balance and deal with problems because we're smart and we have people that we hire that help us so that we can do what we love to do, which is, negotiating and all that. But anyway, I'm segueing. But so we're through you and watching, the various tools that you've given us through our company and the tools they have given us, we're always looking for what is the best thing now. And we're always wanting to change and willing to change and trying to be on the forefront of whatever's, now. Yeah. And my goodness, in this world we're in now, things are changing, daily.
Rapidly.
And when the pandemic happened, I feel we were really great about not freaking out. It was a 30-day, nothing was going on. And every week we were on with our team and then some with Zoom and checking in and helping everybody, come up with things to do during this time. And we said, look, when we come out of this thing, we're going to be on the other side of it because we didn't stop. It's like you were saying, don't quarantine, what was your words? I don't know, don't quarantine yourself
don't furlough yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
We didn't. I mean, even though there was nothing to do, we were doing it.
Do you remember the time, right? I guess we were about 3 weeks into the pandemic and Tom said to me, why are you so negative? You're not a negative person. Get out of this negative because like for 7 weeks, we didn't have a call or a showing. Yeah. And we're going, oh my God, what are we going to do? And you just told us to snap out of it. And we did. We snapped out of it, both mentally and physically.
Yeah. So for the record, for the people that are listening, we have a lot of rapport. Like we spent a lot of time together. So I was probably not even that nice. And for me to be that carefronting to Maxine Gellens takes a little courage. But you were in a funk. But actually, Maxine, let's go back to this. The thing, when I first met you two, now we talk about this, like this growth mindset, this incredible book by Dr. Carol Dweck. The thing that always stood out for me is your openness, both of you, your willingness. You didn't always execute it, but you didn't say, I never heard from the two of you, not in my market. That doesn't make sense. That's not a luxury thing. It was more like, that's really interesting. Haven't really figured out how we might do it or if it's right for us yet. Like, Maxine, where did that come from? Because like most of the world is, they have a very small perspective. You seem to have a bigger perspective. How do you maintain that?
Well, out of respect for you, Tom, I mean, you've been with us 20 years and we've learned more from you than you've learned from us. Trust me. So the fact that I respect and recognize and admire your conversation and your direction and your learning and teaching gets me into that mode. I mean, you've given us so many thoughts and suggestions that we've followed, and a lot that we haven't, and it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with us. Yeah. Because we're not real good at what do I want to say? Schedule of having to do this.
Yeah, the regiment, the routine.
I'm not a regiment, as Marty said. I'm not real regimented. I've become better, and I do get my things done. And Marty writes everything down on a schedule, and she gets her things done at the end of the day. I just kind of do it, and it gets done, and that's just the way I am. But I think part of this pandemic trying to get forward is I started thinking about in the beginning, oh my God, is this going to be another 2009, 10, 11, 12?
Right.
I need to prepare for it, because we were not prepared for that, because we kept saying, this is going to end, this is going to end, and it didn't end. This will end. Yeah. And the good news about it is everybody is in the buying and selling mode of the houses right now across the country, I believe, because they've experienced not wanting to be where they are or wanting to be somewhere else. And that's given us the ability to buy and sell homes for people.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to go two totally different directions, but this is going to be super valuable for the listeners. I want you both to take a step back and imagine you're starting over in real estate in 2020 today as brand new agents, or either one of you, you're mentoring brand new agents today. So kind of either, like Marti, I take you and I say, hey, I'm moving you to, I was going to say, the Bay of Dreams, but that, I'm going to move you to Santa Barbara, right? Which is, coastal California. You're in La Jolla Del Mar, right? It's kind of the same, but different, different vibe. I move you there. You start over brand new. What do you do? Or you two are mentoring a brand new agent. What advice and direction do you give that person? Whoever wants to go first.
You want me to go? Go on, Marti.
Yeah, go. That's fine. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I probably have to say that I don't know that I would do anything differently. And when I say that, when I started, I was like the fix all, do it all. I took people's homes and started having them make the repairs, even if they didn't have the money. And I didn't have money either, but I loaned them a couple $1,000s and put it on the bill, because I wanted them to make the profit that people are making on flippers right now.
Yeah.
But also, I think the only thing I would change big time is I would go more simple and lightly and stop doing the amount of expenditure on hard copy advertising, because the internet has taken over so unbelievably now that is the way I would advertise myself and market myself. Because again, if you don't market yourself inside your company, then you don't get out there. You don't get known unless you do phoning every single day, 2 hours a day, get on and cold call. That's another way that people have become very successful, which is not my cup of tea. But I would tell you that I would not change anything I would do, other than I would just be so out there in the internet and get myself marketed so that people would know who I am, what company I work for, and specifically work a specific area, and hold an open house every single Saturday and Sunday, as long as it wasn't COVID. Obviously, you can't do that now. But that's how I got started. And that's how I built up my business in a neighborhood that I ended up with. After 20 years, I had 80% market share. And that's how I did it, by holding an open house every Saturday and Sunday. And that's how I got Marti started too.
So I want to, Marti, before you answer, I want to just unpack that. I heard open house every Saturday, Sunday. I heard basically be a solution for every seller and every buyer, whatever it takes, help them do it. Right. And everybody gets that, but that's just who you two are. Like, it's whatever it takes, we're going to make it happen. I also heard have a geographic farm, right? Whether it's have a territory.
You're going to start for sure.
Right. And then obviously, remember, for context for the person listening, when you're going back to the 80s and the 90s, we were all around when all of a sudden this transition to, it went from the companies being advertised to the agents being advertised. My friends at Hobbs and Herder that started creating personal brochures for agents and putting their brands on the map. Today, that is one of the hottest and most important trends for a real estate professional, to stand out amongst the competition. So you're saying back then you said you wouldn't have done the advertising. I would argue that. I think back then you had to do it. Today you just don't have to, because the internet makes it easier, faster, more efficient, less cost. Is that fair, Maxine?
That's correct. And I did the Hobbs Herder brochure.
I know you did. Was it you with a tennis racket?
No, actually, I did the Hobbs Herder without Hobbs Herder.
Yes, yes. So Marti, what about you? If you were starting over in Santa Barbara, or you were mentoring a brand new agent who's, Marti, ready? It's a she. She's got 2 kids, right? And she has got to hustle. She has got to make money. What do you tell that new agent?
Well, first of all, can we pretend that it's not during the pandemic?
Yes.
Okay,
sure.
Good.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of different things that we can't
Right.
do at the moment.
Right. Of course. Of course.
Well, so as my mom kind of said, and she, as I said earlier, was my mentor, and she told me a lot about what to do to get my business started. And we were not partners for 9 years. So the one thing I definitely would agree with, and we tell our team, who my nephew, my brother's son, is new to our team.
Yep.
And so he has been mentoring us, right? And it's amazing because he's a family member and helping him through all of this, brand new, right out of college. But I know you didn't ask that question about him, but I would totally do the open house thing. That is where you meet people, especially as somebody brand new into the business. It's very difficult for even your friends and what have you to trust you, that you know what you're doing as a brand new agent, whether you are 21 like I was when I got in, or if you are now a mother with 2 children trying to look for a different career and you're 35 and you've got a great sphere to look to, but they're not really like sure about using you. So you've kind of got to go out and find at first other people, and by doing the open houses, in my opinion, is the greatest way, and stay in the same area every weekend so that you get to know people geographically. I did that every weekend. I also knocked doors back in the day. I wouldn't do that today. But I would then, once I had some success with that, be sure you tell everybody about it. And with the internet today, social media, Instagram, Facebook, of course, every open house you have, you can blast it to the world. With Facebook ads and Instagram ads, so important. It's amazing how many people you can reach, online. And so there's some tools that are there today that we didn't have. So kind of a blend of the old fashioned way through the open houses, geographic farming to go along with the open houses, make sure you send out cards, and then doing the online things to back it up and to be present there. Something we've been doing actually during the pandemic, which I love, which we're going to continue to do afterward, is these Facebook Live open houses. We haven't had a lot of traction of people going on live with us, even though we're advertising it and sending out email blasts and putting it in our newsletters and all those things. We haven't had a lot of live traction, but the traction we have had after the live event is incredible. And we've had 2 buyers who have bought properties who have literally been into these videos because they really see the house. I mean, photos are very, sexy, and they show the home an angle. Even the videos we do that are very Broadway show production they are not the same as these basic, my husband on his iPhone filming me walking through the house, and the things I talk about, I'm like, wow, that was awesome that I said that. You're talking about the area, you're talking about lots of different things that you spend 10, 15 minutes on a tour, and a buyer loves it.
I remember watching one, same thing. I think everybody knows, you do these and it's like, oh, there was only 3 people watching and one was my mother. But then you boost it and all of a sudden you got 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 views. And that's where the action is, right? Thousands of views on our Facebook Live open houses. It's been great. And because of the boosting and everything, but then it's been real people that have, looked at the property because of those. So, yeah. So we're going to talk about marketing in a minute, but Maxine, any kind of closing thoughts on new agent starting over? What would you tell them?
Well, I'll just reiterate what Marti said. In fact, Zach, my grandson, her nephew, this last year before COVID had 5 sales because of open houses. That's the only way he met those people. And he sold 4 houses over $1 million. And he's 23, 22 years old. So, I mean, And people don't trust 22-year-olds or 23-year-olds, but they trusted him because they met him and got to meet his personality instead of cold calling somebody where you can't really meet somebody face to face.
Yeah.
And like he had a Facebook Live yesterday on a property that's going to go viral too. And so that's what you do. And he's a young kid who we're trying to mentor. So I would mentor those people out there the same way.
Yeah. You know what I love about this? It's like,
if I wanted to start my business over today because I had no business, and that could happen.
Yeah.
I would go out there and hold an open house every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. And I can't tell you, I won't say one other thing because that's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah. And listen, I think most agents know, especially all the veterans out there listening, even though they're like, oh God, maybe open houses, and pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID, it's all different. But like Andy C., who you two know really well. I mean, Andy, that was the cornerstone of his business and still is today. And he did $12 or $13 million in commissions last year. He'll fly his family to Hawaii and then hang out with the kids. And then he'll leave on the red eye on Friday night to land Saturday, do Saturday, Sunday open house, and then take the red eye back to Hawaii. He said, if people say to him, well, that's weird. He said, no. I put my family up in a beautiful house because I do open houses, right? We can go on a 2-week vacation because I do open houses. And he's been doing it that way for, 20 years. So
he can go home and pay for the vacation on the weekend and come back.
Bingo. So let's talk about marketing for a second. I actually wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-ish things. And I'm going to say it. And I just want you to give feedback. So you ready? And you could say, don't do it, hate it, love it, oh my God, best thing ever, just whatever your opinion is. So ready? Direct mail.
Love it.
Okay. Why do you love it?
We actually get business from it. That's why.
People hand us the card when they walk in and say, give us a listing presentation.
Yes.
And
they hand you the card.
They do. We always ask where our business comes from. Of course, when we get a listing call, and a lot of that, we do almost all of La Jolla Geographic Farm. We do most of Del Mar, and we just get a lot of business from it. So we love it.
Yeah. Would you say it's predictable?
Has to be.
It's
right.
Predictable.
So
it needs to be every single week or twice a week. And it's very expensive, but it's worth every penny.
Yeah. Yep. I agree 1000%. So we said open houses, so we don't even need to go there. Ready? Email marketing. Marti, how important is email marketing today? Good, bad, works, doesn't work? Tell us.
Works. We have been inconsistent with our email marketing, and we are trying to become consistent with our email marketing through the pandemic. So now it's been 4 months or so. We now have religiously had a Tuesday email to our database and a Thursday email to our database with 2 different goals in mind. One is simply about our listings. The other is it's about our listings also, but gives more information about the market and what have you. So 2 touches to our email database per week. And I just got a call yesterday from a client who, thankfully, I've kept in touch with her. And she just, as an aside, had said, well, yes, I get your emails every week. And I'm laughing because those have just started religiously over the last few months, and she probably thinks she's been getting them for years. And not that we haven't done emails, but I mean, we are twice a week for the last 4 months. And before it was, if we were lucky, we thought about doing it and it was Monday on, April 1. Okay, send it, because
that seems like years, the 4 months.
Yeah. Yeah. So any specific software recommendations? Do you just use whatever the company has? Someone's got, do you even know, Marti?
No, you're asking us. We were using MailChimp, and I know we've changed during COVID to something else, but I don't know. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Google that. Okay. No, I know who to ask on that one. Let's talk about making phone calls and texting to your database. Maxine, does that work? Does that not work?
Of course it works. And during COVID, I've learned a lesson that keeping in touch with clients is really important, because out of boredom, went through my phone. I have thousands of numbers on my phone, and I started calling people that I hadn't called, or people that we had expired listings that took them off the market. And lo and behold, guess what? You get business from it, and they love to hear from you. Surprise.
Yeah. But I mean, come on, you said, of course, but like, listen, as your coach, like, Marti, you and the team, you've done so many, database, competitions, 5 contacts a day, and your mom resists that like nobody's business. And yet then when she does it, she's like, oh, I got another listing and I got an appointment. I got to sell it out. Well, Maxine, what is that about?
I don't like to be pinned down to something I have to do. It's my personality. And it's like, and I'm very, I don't have a lot of patience, and sitting for 2 hours on something that I'm really not enjoying, and I don't like rejection. Like, I don't like rejection. And so to call people and say, hi, I haven't talked to you in 2 years, how are you doing? Is like, bothers me, but I know I have to do it. Yeah. And I've said that for how many years? 20?
Yeah.
20.
And I know Tom would say, think how much business you would do if you just followed up on your database.
Right. That's been a constant, that's been a loving battle between the three of us for 20 years. Remember when I said, let's just since you're not going to call them, let's give them to the team, right? At least somebody could go and say, hi, I'm calling for Maxine and Marti Gellens.
We are getting better at that. Giving it to the team. We are.
Yep. Okay. So Marti, video marketing, whether it's properties, we talked about it a little bit. You resisted video. I mean, listen, do you see what's here on my desk? Right. This is an old flip video camera, which after Gary Vaynerchuk spoke at the summit a million years ago, everybody ran out and bought one. You two always knew you should. And you always were like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. But you resisted. But I think pre-COVID, the singing songs while caravan, all of a sudden something flipped with the two of you. What was it that flipped? And then what advice do you have for people today with video?
Well, again, we had to do something to get in front of people because we really couldn't be in front of people. And what a better way than video and then boosting it to the world. And, we just were lazy and didn't do it. And that's all it was about. I mean, every time we would get in front of a video or whatever,
not enough time.
It was fine. Yeah, we just were lazy. We just made excuses why not to do it. But as I said, we have been working harder than ever these last 4 months. Mm-hmm. And part of that has been getting in front of a video camera and exposing ourselves to, the world, so we can talk to our clients, so we can talk to people we don't know, so we can expose our clients' listings. We were like, we've got to do things. And we were, like my mom said, calling our clients more and really being present in a time when we couldn't really be present. Yeah. And it's been amazing. So, our business has gone crazy in the last 3 months, since the initial pandemic started.
So when knock on wood, right? When sort of this version of COVID ends, right? Or whatever the new norm is, the new norm, is video going to stay? Is that going to be a constant forever? Or when things get back to normal, video goes away for you? Be honest. This is being documented.
Oh no, I'm even doing video. And if I'm doing video, it's staying.
Yeah.
Because I am so technically unstable.
Technically unstable. That needs to be a hashtag.
We're so blessed because we have, like, Amy, our marketing person. All we have to do is do it and then send it to her. I don't like doing Instagram posts, like personally, even every month I might send out something. I'm just not into it. I don't have time to even look at a lot of stuff. That's, again, an excuse. Sorry. I can make the time, but it's just not something I make the time for very often.
Yes.
But having Amy and being able to just do something and send it to her, and then she does these amazing posts. And Jessica, I mean, that's something else through this. We have been religious on our Instagram and Facebook posts on behalf of our clients.
Right.
And our team has been extra awesome.
Yeah.
Because they've stepped up like you cannot believe, every one of them. And as far as Amy, I had a virtual open house last week. At the last minute, and I called Amy. She met me there. She videoed me, got it out there, and it was out there before I even finished it was crazy. And it was I didn't know it was live, right? And I started.
She didn't tell you?
Well, she did, but
it didn't matter.
Kind of forgot.
It didn't matter.
I'm going, oh no, I don't want to do this. Maxine, you're live.
Okay, so let's talk about that, right? You've heard me say before, and it actually, the credit goes to a client up in Minnesota who said to me, hey, done is better than perfect, right? Sometimes just getting it done, just shooting the darn video is better than perfection. And here we are in a scenario with, two legendary agents. Maxine, you're live. You don't even know. And you're like, okay, let me redo that. I want to say that over again. And she's like, no, you're live. I mean, you say you don't want rejection. Some people would take that as like catastrophic to their ego. And yet it just rolls off your back.
Well, I know that. And that a lot of things I say roll off my back. They shouldn't probably, but they do. Yeah. And that's just who I am. And again, I'm a lot more complicated than is visually out there. Okay.
Yes.
But I kind of like put it aside and move on. And after you're my age, you've had a lot of experience doing that.
Yeah. Well,
2 children, 4 grandchildren later.
Yeah. All right. So tell the listener who doesn't know you, and what is your age now?
82 plus.
82 plus. Think about
82 plus, born in 1938.
You listen, ladies and gentlemen, do you understand why why I say to them almost at the end of every call, I love you, right? Right? I mean, think about it, like always pretty much every call is like, okay, I love you. And we say, it's so funny. We say call, it's all Zoom, but we still call it a call, whatever.
Better.
Yeah. So, all right. So I would love, Maxine, tell the story, and this is leading to another marketing component. Tell the story about the listing appointment you went on with a guy named Joe who said to you, so what do you think about this Zillow thing?
Oh.
You don't remember who I'm talking about?
Of course I do.
Via Casa Alta.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
So we went on a listing appointment, and after the listing or during the listing appointment, what do you think about Zillow? And I went, and this was kind of new with Zillow. I mean,
this was like 5 years ago.
Longer.
Really?
Longer.
Okay.
It was like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
This was before the time we listed it. And he said, so I told him what I thought of Zillow. And fortunately, I said good things. I didn't say bad things. And he proceeds to say to me, well, I'm glad you like it, because the last broker I had here doesn't like it, doesn't understand it. And my son is the president and the majority owner of Zillow in Washington or Oregon. I can't remember. But anyway, P.S. we ultimately listed his home, I think 2 years later or something, and sold it. And unfortunately, he passed away.
Yeah.
But his son is and has been with Zillow, right?
Yeah, so that's for my audience, it's Spencer Rascoff, who's the former CEO, now the CEO of .LA, which I'm an investor in. Yay, super great guy. But yeah, it was Joe Rascoff, who just a legendary human being, which all of you should just Google to understand how incredible that man was. So
fortunately, I was positive, and we got the listing probably because of that. But I liked Zillow at the time, but I didn't like the fact that we thought they were going to take over the real estate market, but nobody's going to take over the real estate market other than the real estate agents who do a good job.
That's right. So let's talk about that. That was really my segue into how important is it, Marti, to have an online presence? You were mentioning, Instagram is a struggle for you because, you'd probably post every live baseball game if you could be at one, right? But so how important is it for an agent today to be active on social and really to have their Google page set up, their Zillow profile, whether they, advertise or not, realtor.com, right on down the line. How important is that today?
I think it's imperative. I mean, everybody goes online to look for real estate today, period, end of sentence. And, I'll get buyers that call and want me to, be their agent and help them. And, they find the properties, they find the listings before we do. I mean, I have a client who I've said, I am not going to be in a race to find the house before you do, because I'm doing things all day long. I get the hot sheet, I get the notifications, but you're just looking for you specifically. So of course you may find the house before I do. That is not my expertise.
Yeah.
My expertise is in negotiating and dealing with the problems and marketing your home if it's a listing and what have you. Yeah. So my point is, but as an agent, you need to be there. Your listings need to be there. You need to be there. And clients want to see you there. And, we've used it as a tool, not only for ourselves, for personal marketing, but we have used it as a great tool for our listings, be it on our own pages of all the people that follow us, Insta, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But, used it as a tool for listings every day. And it's just become a great thing to get our properties out there. So
I love it. So I'm going to throw another one at you both. And I'm shocked that most agents, I don't want to say don't get this, but I think they don't understand, in my opinion, how powerful it is. Talk to us about agent-to-agent relationships and agent-to-agent networking, right? How important in your world is it to know a lot of agents around the country, be friendly, be a part of their sphere? Talk about that.
Well, it's a huge part of our business. I mean, my mom and I, number one, within our own local community, we think having a good relationship with the agents we sell properties, with is the most important thing we can do. I mean, we compete with each other every day, and then we have to do a transaction together every day. So it's the strangest relationship, right? You compete for a listing, and then you bring an offer to that agent on that listing or another listing. So you're in this interesting environment. But we feel that that's one of our strengths, is the relationships we have created with the agents, to get along with them, to make it easy to show our properties. They know when they call our office, it's streamlined, easy to show, easy to sell our listings. We never say no. We just always have somebody available to help another agent. Even if they can't make it with their buyers, we will meet them there. So anything we can do to create that great relationship, we'll do. And I'll let my mom talk about our more national and the broader network of agents that we have.
Well, I also think it's really funny. It's gotten so that we're so respected in our community for helping the brokers and getting them into the properties, that if within 5 minutes, for some reason, we don't get back to them because maybe somebody's on the phone in the office and can't answer it. What the heck's the matter with the Gellens? It's 5 minutes.
True.
And they have, I mean, that's how really unbelievable our team is in getting them into our properties, or answering a question, or even helping them with their own problems that they know we're going to be able to help them with because of our expertise. And as far as nationally, we're recognized all over the country because of, number one, our longevity in the marketplace, and the fact that we've been so helpful. And when we get a referral, we sell it, or we communicate with them, and they get paid. And I just think that out of how many thousands of agents are there? A million agents or something?
1.4 million agents just in the U.S. alone?
I bet we're in the top 100,000 as far as people respecting who we are. And that's very important for our clients' properties too, and for your relationship with other brokers. I mean, if someone says, who should we call in La Jolla, or who should we call the Gellens, call the Gellens. And that's really important. And we go to all these conventions, unfortunately not lately, but we go to Tom Ferry, the Summit, we go to the Berkshire Hathaway, we go to NAR. I've been involved with FIOPSI, and learning how to respect other agents that do the same business you do.
Yeah, I think there's so much to unpack in that, but the one thing I want everybody to get is what I know about these two, and so many people that are like us, it's how can I help? Like, you two are always there to, you're at a convention, you just come off stage winning some award, and someone's like, hey, can I pick your brain on something? You two always say yes. I think I don't know if that was just intentional, but today when you look at like our client list and how many referrals are done agent to agent, and how important that is, it just seems like it's like binary. Like one camp gets it and the other one doesn't, right? Like you two clearly get help people, give back, share, answer questions, offer advice. And I think that has a massive impact on your brand from an agent standpoint.
For sure. And especially with your own community, even though with the new NAR rule, it's a little more difficult. I mean, you still have to have a good relationship, but now having a relationship with your own company is really important. And I think my personal opinion is, maybe I shouldn't put it out there, I think this rule is going to change within the next 12 months because I don't think it's a benefit to your sellers. I think it's a disservice to your sellers. And
talking about the
clear cooperation,
cooperation thing it's been a very big, difficult situation. But anyway,
that's for another podcast.
That's for another. We'll see how that one pans out. But you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a prediction from Maxine Gellens. look at Marty's like, yeah.
You can enter your conversation too, Marty, but I know.
Oh, I agree with you. Like I said, it's a whole nother podcast we could have.
Right. Just on the nuttiness of the rules.
We could get a million agents to go on it with it.
Yes. We could all do that one live. That'd be a hot seat conversation. I can get Bob Goldberg to come join us. That would be even more fun. So let's not wrap it up, but I want to, so much of what has allowed you to be successful is you figured out what you're good at and what someone else could do better than you, right? So we're talking about building teams. When I met you two had assistants, but you always resisted the sales side. Do you remember that? I say always, but for years you resisted the sales side. And then we got Mark, and has Mark been with us now 16 years?
I was going to say 15, but it might be 16. He's been with us a long time. Right?
I mean, so for everyone listening, Mark, who is this just extraordinary guy, right? Mark's in the house, right? He's in the office. Yeah. I mean, he's at every event. He's terrific, married, kids, he's done it all. And
we knew him when.
Yes, you knew him when.
When he didn't have kids and he wasn't married, trust me.
Yes. And it was just a lot of surfing and craziness. So let's just talk about teams, right? And maybe let's start with mistakes to avoid with hiring salespeople, transaction coordinators, marketing coordinators, showing assistants. What are some of the mistakes to avoid? Marti, I'm going to you first because you got a lot of the people stuff on your end.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that we've made a mistake of in hiring is sometimes hiring people that are more like us and liking who we're hiring, which of course you need to like who you hire. But I think my mom and I are such people persons that on our team we would lend ourselves to hiring people that were more like us. And that's a mistake because you can't have too many of that same type of personality or you're not going to get the job done, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to be specific about anything. We have an amazing team right now, the bomb. We have every facet of our business covered like I've never seen it before. And the personalities are different. And so they're good. Like it just, everything is gelling right now. So I think that's a mistake we've made in the past. And you gave us that test that I don't even remember, but the last two hires we had, we gave you the info and then it was perfect. It was exactly what
Crystal knows right off their LinkedIn page. Just hire the personality profile, not the person. Right? Hire the profile for the job was the conversation we were in. Yeah.
It's really been amazing. So I think that's really important. And then when you have so we'll go on if you're going to have more questions. That's the first question.
Yeah. But I want to know, so break down and then Maxine, I'm coming to you. Break down each role you have today. Right. And you could say the person's name or not, right? Hopefully every one of your team members is going to listen to this and be like, hey, that's me. Right. So, but help them understand each of the roles that you have filled in place.
Well, Marty's going to do that.
We have a listing coordinator, Jen, and she handles everything from, doing the listing presentation for us when we go out to see a client to then measuring the house, ordering the photos, meeting the photographer, inputting the listing, writing the remarks, selecting the photos. So listing heavy, that's her role.
And tell everybody how long she's been with us, honey.
Well, she's been with us 15 years also, right?
Yeah.
15 or 16, yes.
You know, time flies, so I don't know the exact amounts. But
15 or 16 years, and she's like a book. You open the page and you open the page, nothing changes. Jen just goes on and does her thing, and she's also our office manager.
Yeah. For everyone that's listening, if we pulled up Jen's Crystal Knows, her personality profile, she is a all C, which is just steady, consistent, more analyst, which is why she can do that same thing at a high level over and over and over, where the three of us, we would try and flower it up and change it every single time. Right? So Jen, listing coordinator, keep going. I was thinking Jessgrow.
I know, Jessgrow, as we now call her, because we have two Jessicas. So our escrow coordinator, I can't even say Jessica. Jessica is Jessgrow. And she's amazing. She is our newest member to our team. She came to us about, I should know exactly, 9 months ago or so. She's had a baby since she arrived. And she's fantastic. And she is steady Eddie also. Nothing riles that girl.
Right.
And she's handling our escrows. And let me tell you, in the last 2 months and through COVID, we've sold a lot of houses, and she doesn't get rattled by anything. Yeah. And she's always available, and we love that. So that's Jessgrow. So she handles the escrows from the time, she'll write offers, she writes counters, and then takes it from in escrow to closing.
Yeah.
Never gets behind. She could have 10 escrows, and she's on top of every single one of them. It's crazy.
And my mom and I are very involved in our deals, but we don't do the paperwork part of it. If we have to, I write counters and offers and that, but they do all the back end stuff.
Yeah.
And so the next person, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So next I'd say Mike Nelson, and he is our showing agent. And what he does, all of our listings are not lockbox. If we have 25 listings, we may have one that's on a lockbox. So they're all agent accompany. We have to go and open the houses and be there and show them. And Mike is our number one showing agent. So he'll go and meet the other agents when they have their buyers. Maxine and I will too, depending upon the listing. We all jump in. In fact, every one of our team members shows property, but that is his primary job. And then he attends inspections and, termite and physical. And he's our runaround guy. He's literally never in the office.
Yeah.
So
and
that's what Mike does.
Love him.
Yeah. And they love him. Exactly. And then what about Jessica and Amy?
Yep. And so then Jessica is our office coordinator. She is, when we have an office open, sitting at the front desk. She answers all the phones. She schedules all the appointments for the agents that want to show our properties. She sends out showings reports to our clients, marketing reports to our clients. She does all of our just listeds and just solds and all of our geo farm cards. So she has an additional job since she's primarily in the office. She also does some other marketing for us.
And she's second up in showings.
And she's second up in showing, and she's our second most recent hire. So she's been with us probably 1.5 years, maybe. Maybe. And then Amy is our marketing coordinator, and Amy does all of our advertising. She does most of our social media, although Jessica, who I just mentioned, also does social media posts, but Amy does 80% of it. And she's also an agent. So she does our marketing part-time. She probably does 20 hours a week of our marketing. And then she's also an agent for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. What I love about it too, especially like with Jessica, not Jessgrow, all of that stuff she can continue to do even in a work from home environment, right? Answer the phone, schedule the appointments, keep the direct mail going, manage the showings. So some people are going to go, oh my goodness, that's like five salaried employees. Right. And you just see it. And then others will say, well, of course, right? High end, no lock boxes, client first, lots of showings. This is how you got to manage it.
They alternate weekends.
Yep.
Every fourth weekend, they work the weekend. So they're on to answer all the phone calls and do the showings that for our non-lockbox houses, which are 98%.
Yeah. Yeah. So then how many salespeople on the team and kind of break it down?
So as we mentioned, Amy is part-time, but she works full-time too. You know how real estate is. So I don't even want to call her a part-time agent. Yeah. She's an agent. And then we have Drew and Christy, who are a husband and wife team, and they are awesome. They've been with our team. Christy came to be an assistant when one of our assistants left. That was like 10 years ago, I think. And she, after being an assistant, stayed on our team as an agent, and then her husband joined her. So they are a husband-wife team. And then we have Mark, who we mentioned, who's been with us for 15, 16, 17 years, however long it's been. Yeah. And he gets all of the internet leads. So none of our internet leads are missed. He calls people back in 2 minutes. I mean, I'm not kidding.
Even his phone, if he's in Hawaii in the ocean.
He never doesn't answer his phone. So it's wonderful to have him. And then we have Kate, who is a longtime La Jolla agent, who came to join our team about 3 or 4 years ago. She just wanted to have the team, atmosphere and the support, so she didn't have to have it on her own. And so she's an amazing agent and been in the business for 35 years as well. And then lastly, who we already spoke about, is Zach, my nephew, my mom's grandson, and he's on fire. And he's just really taken off in the business. I think he must have been listening all along the way, because he's got so much common sense and understanding about the business for a 23-year-old, like you can't believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, some people were raised on milk and cookies. He was raised on real estate and deals.
His mom's in the mortgage business.
His mom's a wholesale mortgage lender.
Yeah. And Andy's a doctor. Yeah. Right. So
who wishes he was a real estate agent.
Right. Exactly. So, now that we get a sense of, the amount of people that support you, I think it helps people understand. We talk about it like, you have to make a decision when you're running a business, right? Are you going to do everything and keep all the money, yet stymie your growth? Or are you going to give up a few shekels to people that are experts that do what they do, so you can do more of what you do and go to 160 baseball games a year and dance 3 hours, 3 hours a day, Maxine, right? So it's the balance. So when people are listening to this or you're watching this, keep that in perspective, right? They made that decision a long time ago that a few less shekels for a lot more time was a good trade. Am I missing something there, Maxine?
It's kind of more than that. Marty and I, whether it be 15 or 20 years ago, decided that we wanted a little bit of a life for ourselves too. And in order to have that, even if it's 2 hours a day, at the end of the day, you have to have support. And we're willing to give up what we don't have so that we can have the support. And it's also fun to be in an environment where you have people around you. We have our own little office, which is awesome. And the 11 of us are kind of together but separated. And it's an enjoyable situation. We have Christmas dinners, we have Hanukkah dinners, we have Easter dinners, we have Passover dinners. we have it all. And so I wouldn't change a thing as far as our structure and the way we operate, because Marty and I, because of some other situations, somebody had a baby, so she couldn't go out in the COVID environment. So for 2 weekends, we had to cover all the calls and the showings. And that's not what we want to do right now. That's not what we want to do now going forward. And again, when you're new and you're just trying to establish a business like Zachary, you do the weekends, you do the open houses, you do the showing, you do everything. You work, because that's how you're going to get the business. You have to work full time, 80 hours a week.
Period. So ladies, this went really quick. We're like an hour and 6 minutes in, and the more I do podcasts, especially with people that I love, the more I wish I scheduled like 5 hours, right? Because I feel like we've unpacked so much here, Marty, but there's so many other things that we can discuss. So I want to ask you both one last question, and however you want to answer it is totally good. If you could talk to 5 million real estate professionals around the world, because we get people from Australia and South Africa and all over Europe and, obviously US, Canada, Mexico, South America, like if you could talk to those agents, what would be like the 2 or 3 most important pieces of advice to help them get control of their business, take it to the next level and really live the kind of life that they love? It's a big loaded question. Whoever wants to go, 2, 3, 1, what would you say? Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I think the most important thing you can do is enjoy your life with your real estate profession. If you're just doing business and you don't have any life whatsoever, you will burn out. That started to happen. I'll go back 30 years ago or 25 years ago. And that was happening, where all we did was work, work, work. And Marti came to me and said, Mom, this isn't working. So we decided to structure a life for ourselves, which we'll talk about in the next podcast.
In round 2. So say that again. Like, tell me, drive home the point. What's the point you want him to get? You said something I thought was profound.
You can work 8 hours a day, but if you don't put some enjoyment in your day, you will burn out. That's the point.
Yeah. Marti, what would you say?
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
It can be baseball. It can be dancing. It can be working out. It can be going in the ocean and surfing. It can be going to your best friend's house and talking for 2 hours. Just give yourself some enjoyment, not just total work, work, work. Yeah.
Marti, what would you say?
Well, I agree with that statement completely. And balance has been part of my entire life, as I've talked about it 1,000 times. But I'll just say one thing, maybe a little on a segue, more business oriented, is that you kind of touched on it. Know when you are at critical mass to take the step backwards or forwards. You've got to decide what your business is going to be and have a plan around it. And for us, we're at where we want to be. We know that we don't want to grow more in people. Like we're good. And I think you have to make a decision, and you've used that word with us a lot, critical mass, to grow or to maintain or what have you. And you've got to hire the people to help you do that. And for us, that's been key, having the team, having the right people with us. And also for us, having now our buyer's agents to also round out our business and help us with our business and allow us to have a life. It all comes back to balance and having a life and having a great business, and real estate allows you to do that. It really does, if you do it right.
Yeah. And there's, again, we could go another hour on managing client expectations and, being on the beach in Mexico and taking a call from a client and negotiating a deal, because that's real estate, right?
I have zero regrets about my entire business life. It's hard to believe that my children are grown and gone, 27 and 23 years old. But the whole goal, the whole time, was to have a viable, thriving business that I worked full time at, but yet I didn't miss a baseball game, volunteering in the classroom, a play. I don't care what it was. There was nothing that was missed, that we missed. My mom did the same thing. And it was fantastic, and it is fantastic. And real estate is a business. If you do it right, you can have that life. You can have a thriving business that's, very, very lucrative and have a great life. And that's been our goal and continues to be our goal. And I think that's why we're successful, because we get to enjoy our lives in addition to our business.
Yeah. And also it gives you the longevity. So Maxine, close it out. When you hear all that, closing thoughts?
Yeah, I just start thinking about, and the partnership, whether it's your daughter, your friend, someone you don't even know, but you feel you'll have. The partnership has enabled us to not only talk with each other and get things resolved and solved, but one of us can take off and the other one is there. The client never loses out because they've got somebody representing them every minute of the day, whether it be night or morning or what have you, because we have a partnership. And obviously it has to work. And ours has been, we've been partners, forgetting she's my daughter, but we've been partners without any arguing for 30 years. I mean, it's been unbelievable. And that is what I think is really important for a person to have a partner in this business, because it can eat you up alive.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. Well, I love you both. And I'm sure we have a coaching session this week also. But this was as fun as bringing the two of you on stage at a summit, or just, watching you two win an award. So I love you, so I'm not going to go all mushy gushy, but I just want to say I'm just so grateful, because what most of the people don't know listening to this is when I started this company 16, 17 years ago, I walked away from the family business, and, the Gellens were the first ones to say, we're with you, let's go. And then they introduced me to my first enterprise client that even today is still a friend, right? And someone I was just texting with yesterday, right? So, my family and everybody in the Ferry International community owes the two of you a lot of gratitude and appreciation, because most people don't know the behind the scenes impact you've had on my family, this business, and our lives. So I love you. I just want to say thank you.
Likewise, Tom.
We love you too. You just brought tears to my eyes, honestly.
Oh,
love you.
All right. I appreciate you too.
We aren't going anywhere, 82-year-old.
That's right. Dominant at 92, baby. Let's go. So for all my friends out there listening, thank you so much. Share this with a friend, whether they're a new agent or a veteran, especially a family business. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, and let us know how else we can serve on these podcasts. So have an awesome day, and we'll see you all next week on the podcast.